He's Ralph Amsden, and this is the College Football Apostles presented by the Unafraid Show. And we are getting close to the season, people. We got a lot to talk about today. We are giving you our Heisman predictions, our college football playoff predictions, and there is news and noteworthy stuff because Jim Harbaugh, yeah, he's back at Michigan, right? Slow down. Deion Sanders freaks out. Oh, he was on our college football head coach's pressure list, and Texas Tech fans overreacting. LSU, NIL, and our picks for the Heisman Trophy and the number one overall selection for this next NFL season, which is obviously going to come from this college football season. And you guys make sure that you guys like, subscribe, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, share and get notifications. All right, so we'll start today, Ralph, with some of the news that's happened since our last show. So we put out the college football pressure list, not the coaches who are on the hot seat, but the 10 coaches who are under the most pressure coming into the next college football season. And people didn't quite understand. They were like, oh, this guy's not on the hot seat. And that's particularly Texas Tech fans because they're saying, how could you put Joey McGuire on this list? He's not under pressure. Even had one of their boosters tweet at me. And I'm like, you know that hot seat and pressure list are not the same thing. So, what is making this so hard for Texas Tech fans to understand, or for Colorado fans, or for Ohio State fans who buck back a little bit about their coach being on the pressure list when there are so many resources, the administration is in, boosters are in, and they don't understand that that brings pressure, even though that they like the head coach.
Right. I mean, what do we talk about? Like Texas Tech was something like 14 straight years of at least 5 losses.
Yes.
They do you think that they brought in Joey McGuire to keep that going?
No, but no, Ralph. He's had 2 winning seasons in a row. This is all that matters.
Did the new thing has to be different than the old thing. It just does. I feel like they didn't have a lot of patience with Matt Wells
Yeah.
having mediocre seasons. They ran out of patience eventually with Cliff Kingsbury because he couldn't even win with Patrick Mahomes there. At some point, when you're getting a big influx of money, and like you even had one of the big donors in your comments, when you're getting a big influx of money, of course there's pressure to win. People are making personal investments.
Yes.
I don't. To me, in this day and age, these turnarounds they happen either in 3-year builds or it's kindling, burst into flames, right? And if it can happen for TCU, it should happen for Texas Tech. If it can happen for Washington, it should happen for Texas Tech. They brought in some transfers this year that they had, like Jalen Conyers. They had the money to bring in, probably a top 10 tight end in the country. They decide to go in a different direction when it comes to Tyler Shuck. So now you got a quarterback you could have had that's out there doing stuff that you can compare yourself against, and it's a new look Big 12, and they start off with a bang. I think they got Arizona State like right away, and so I the media picked them ninth. The media is not taking this team seriously, but it's about internal pressure. I think Texas Tech is taking themselves very seriously, and I don't think fans should shy away from the idea that it's their time. It
Yeah.
is their time, and and
Yeah.
and they should meet the moment. I believe that they should. And you're not saying that he won't meet the moment. You're saying there's a lot of pressure to do so, and I don't disagree with that. The fan base may be super happy with him because he seems like a great guy, great coach, and they seem like they're headed in the right direction. But what happens if they go 7-6 again? How do
Yeah.
you think everybody's going to feel at the end of this year?
Well, and that was one of the things that they pushed back. Well, we've had 3 starting quarterbacks the last 2 years. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Like, there's only so much grace that is going to be given for that, and it's not that he's under the hot seat. The pressure for Texas Tech is surrounded by. Look at this schedule. It is about keeping hope alive because if they're going to beat Abilene Christian, they're going to beat North Texas, Washington State. That's a game that they need to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need to start out 4-0. Cincinnati's Scott Satterfield's not having a good run so far. They want to be 5-0. And then obviously, then the tough part, the meat of their schedule starts to come after that. So
But
anything
George, who don't they play? That makes this year even more important. Who
Utah,
did they exactly?
yep. So Texas Tech fans, when they look at this schedule, anything outside of a 9-3 year is probably gonna be looked at as like, that wasn't, unless you have some weirdo result in a couple games.
Yeah.
But if you get your doors knocked off in any games and you finish with 7 or 8 wins, it's gonna be a problem.
Did anybody else have an issue, or was it just with Texas Tech fans kind of not understanding the premise of it, which is that like it's time for Texas Tech to make that leap?
Well, Ohio State fans kind of pushed back a little bit too. And I wasn't really like, I look at them as a unique situation because when you look at this schedule and you look at how good this team is on paper and what they were able to do last year, and their non-conference, Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall, this is the not type of non-conference that I absolutely hate, but that's a whole nother story. You look at this non-conference and you're saying this is a team that absolutely should win at a minimum 11 games, a minimum, because you can't stomach losses with the type of NIL that they've put forth, the recruiting that they've done. You can't stomach a loss to Iowa because their offense is atrocious. Even though that they've changed coordinators, it's still not. You still shouldn't lose that game. The Oregon game in Autzen, you can stomach that because that would be okay. A win or a loss in that game, you're fine as long as you don't lose by more than one score. You're all right. Nebraska. Then you have to beat Penn State. If you don't beat Oregon, you have to beat Penn State. If you beat Oregon, now you have, well, you still got to beat Penn State, but that's give you a little bit of wiggle room. And then you got Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, and then that's the game on November 30th. If he loses to Michigan under this turmoil, Sharon Moore under investigation, Jim Harbaugh, everything else, he cannot lose that football game.
No way.
And so their fans push back a little bit. Oh, I'm like, it's y'all that are the crazies that
Mm-hmm.
want to fire a coach that has won this many games. But speaking of Michigan, though, and Michigan crazies, so put out a video on Unafraid Show this last week about Jim Harbaugh and his situation and how the NCAA is now breadcrumbing out the notice of allegations because of the Netflix thing that's going to drop on August 20th. And that's causing a problem. And Michigan fans, rightfully, and when I say rightfully, I mean like that they're behaving like fans do,
Yeah.
is they are, oh, where's the proof? Where's the, oh, let it alone. It's not a big deal. Of course, that's exactly what I would expect. Same thing
Mm-hmm.
Patriots fans did with Deflategate, Spygate. This is what fans are going to do. This is no
Of
different than
course.
political discourse.
Mm-hmm.
You will ignore anything that the people that you like did, and if not. And I even had Aaron Fintrist, who covers Oregon for the Oregonian. He said, well, you believe Chip Kelly when it came to Willie Lyles in Texas. I said, no, I didn't believe Chip. I just didn't care.
Right.
And that's the way, and that's why I say rightfully for Michigan fans. You're not going to care, even though you probably should.
Every single person out here that wants to say this is family business, like shut up. I get it. I get it. But it's not it it's discourse. It's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk you're gonna talk about unless a Michigan fan rode hard for Jim Tressel, um, I don't have anything to say to them,
Okay.
unless you cross the picket line to say that trading a tattoo for a jersey wasn't a big deal. Shut up. Because, of course, Ohio State fans, of course, the rest of the Big Ten, they're going to smell blood and they're going to act like sharks. But at the end of the day, we just have to get back to the fact that this was all self-reported.
Yes.
So don't come talk to me about something you brought to the NCAA.
Yes. Yes. Hey guys, there's a witch hunt over here. We have witches. Um,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, so now what did you think when you saw the headline that Jim Harbaugh was going to be the honorary captain for their first game of the season?
I thought it was a little bit weird because the Chargers deserve his full attention, and I understand that people can do two things. I actually don't think it's a big deal, but I actually thought that there would be more pushback from Chargers fans. And I had to remember, are there Chargers fans? I know like
Oh,
three of them, so But I never really thought it was something that I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to be welcome back whenever he wants to come back for any reason. I don't think it has. He chose to leave. He chose to leave. He was done with that chapter, done with that challenge. Be where your feet are at, and I kind of thought that it was strange that he was going to come back so soon. And I thought that maybe the primary motivation would be to thumb your nose at the NCAA. I don't think that's wise at this juncture to poke that bear any more than they need to.
I, it's interesting that that's the angle that you took at it because you went from the Chargers, they deserve his full attention. Me, I first was like, oh wow, they're like double middle finger, double bird to everybody, and that actually made me respect Michigan. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
If you gonna do it, then do it big.
yeah,
If you just gonna middle finger everybody, okay, cool. Hey, that's what Jim Harbaugh essentially did. So
yeah. And there was all this
it's on
stuff last
brand.
year. Michigan fans were like, "Our athletic director doesn't have our back."
Yeah.
Like they were really pushing that. Like,
Yes.
and I think they recognized the call was coming from inside the house or whatever. But, whew,
Yes. And so, but now it has now changed. He's not gonna be there. And so cooler heads prevailed, and somebody was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we probably shouldn't do this. There's more information breadcrumbing out. We've seen the documentary because Netflix probably sent them stuff to get comments on and for the documentary, and they either commented or didn't. So they know what's and they have a great idea of what's coming in the notice of allegations, what's provable, what's not, and what Netflix has and what people said on camera. They know. So this is the decision why Jim Harbaugh was not brought in because it would have been after the Netflix documentary comes out, and that could cause a problem.
yeah, I don't. I hope that that's not the case. I personally hope that it wasn't like they got an advanced screening and they were like, "Oop." I hope that wasn't. I hope that wasn't the case. I assume I'm gonna be watching it for the same reason that you're watching it, and we're gonna be texting back and forth the whole time.
Yes.
I know that that's coming, but it's hard for me to imagine if they got Connor Stallions to participate in this that there's going to be anything that he would have given to this that would be terribly incriminating toward Michigan. So it makes
Hold on. Did you watch BS High on HBO on
I
Max?
did, yeah. Some people
Okay.
you just put a
So
camera in front of them and they don't shut up.
exactly. So he doesn't have to say anything that's necessarily incriminating, but it's one of them. He's participating in it, number one, for money. And number two, for because he wants to get his part of the story out and he wants to take all the blame. I have not seen the documentary yet, but I would be willing to bet anything, anything that he's on there taking all the credit for it because he wants to look like a genius. And remember, he's a psycho fan. I mean, that's what it
Yeah,
really comes down to. Connor Stallions is a psycho. He's a celebrity stalker.
bro. He's Selena's manager.
Yes, he's a
He might have killed.
celebrity stalker.
He might have killed that program.
Yes, he's a celebrity stalker who essentially said, you know what? I want to make Michigan a national championship winner, and I will do anything to be a part of this program. I will. There is no expense I won't spare. I'm going to get on Michigan staff, and that's what he did. So he was a man with a plan and a mission, and a psycho stalker, and that's what he did.
Do you respect it?
Yes, a
Me
man
too,
with a
big
go.
time.
See, now I respect his hustle. I
Mm.
respect his. I am not going to let anything get in the way of my goal. Now, you do have to have some integrity and and some principles. But he was like by any means necessary.
He brought that Chick-fil-A energy to college football.
Yep, yep,
He's out here advanced scouting saying my pleasure, and I got to respect it on some level. But yeah, I really hope that it's not like BS High, that he doesn't go out there and make everybody look stupid just because he's proud of what he did. I want to believe that he's not like a sociopath, but that just he was driven,
yeah,
and we'll see. I guess we'll see.
yeah. Can we talk about Deion Sanders? Speaking of
Can
being
we?
driven.
Can we? Can we?
Yes, we can. And do you think I care? No. So, because anything and people who like the reason why this show is called the channel is called the Unafraid Show and all of this stuff because we got to be unafraid to say the things that we need to say. And but if you listen to this, this is not a hit job show. This is not a place where we just go after people, but we try to be honest and realistic in our critiques and our opinions about things. And so there is nothing that I say on my radio show on Mad Dog, here on Unafraid Show, on social media, anything like that, that I do not believe or that I would not say in front of those people, including James Harden, who I think is who has bad basketball character. But that's
Sports up.
dude. I probably give he probably gets more like unsolicited shots from me than any other player.
If it
But
wasn't for Daryl Morey, you might be his least favorite person.
yeah. So so Deion Sanders, he takes any criticism or any critique as hate, as a as a personal offense. And he talks to the media like, do you believe? Do you believe? It's not my job to believe. It's my job to report on what happened. Because you have to remember that there are different types of people in different types of jobs. There are journalists who are supposed to be objective and report what happens and talk about how to maybe interpret that. And that's more like a columnist, right? Talking about the interpretation of it. And then there are people like us who are opinionists. We are Ralph's a official journalist.
Sometimes.
Yes, part journalist, part well, he has a journalistic background with opinionist tendencies. And so you have to understand the people that and the job that they are tasked to do. So Deion Sanders has been critical of people in the media, the stories. He didn't like that he was picked last in the Big 12 to be the worst coach in the Big 12 or one of the worst or whatever. And that's fair for you to have some upsetness about it. But to say that you're not going to answer a CBS local reporter's questions who's trying to do his job, right? Because of something that a national writer said is not cool. And Deion's not paying attention to the fact that your local writers are your biggest ally. Like that your local people are your
Mm.
biggest ally, even if they don't like you or whatever, that because they want access, they want all of this stuff. So you kind of have to play that game with them. You kind of have to give them a little bit of information, but then not too much information. You have to build a certain level of trust there. And I think that he operates from a different wavelength, and he's got to understand the politics of coaching and play by some of those rules in the midst of trying to be a disruptor.
Yes. The CBS's CBS comment was funny. And the reason it's funny is because were you going to ignore Max Preps? Are you going to not watch
Mm.
MTV? Are you going to not let your kids watch Nickelodeon? Are you not going to pay attention to
Yeah,
the
because Viacom is
247
Viacom,
rankings?
baby.
Because yeah, they own 247.
Yep.
And one of Dion's boys that he always does interviews with is one of 247's national college football reporters. So, you
Well,
know,
that's like saying that like 247 is CBS Sports, is CBS National. It's not this like they're part of the same company, but they don't even answer to the same people.
yeah, I just like I didn't love that. He has a message he wants to get across. He walks in with a goal to stir the pot. He does an incredible job of keeping all eyes on Colorado all the time. But what we brought up last week, and I stand by it, is if he's going to get distracted every single time one of these things happens, and he's actually going to have some emotion behind it, and he's going to let Deion Jr. cuss people out on Twitter every single week in between posting Bible verses himself. Like if this is going to happen every single time, then he's going to burn himself out.
Yes.
And you and I talked about that. I think that the future for Colorado is bright. I think that he is doing a really good job. I think there's some obvious misunderstandings in how college football works. You can't ignore high school. You know, you've talked extensively on that. But you're allowed to have differences of opinion of how he goes about it, and he's allowed to be offended if someone calls him the second worst coach in the Big 12. I definitely don't believe that to be true. But I am fascinated by how he's gone about things because he got he got Warren Sapp on staff now.
Yep.
Warren Sapp used to go on with Jason Whitlock every single week and sit there while Jason Whitlock blasted Deion Sanders for being a fake Christian, fake for the culture, just blowing him up.
That's
And Deion,
rich
and
coming from
yeah,
Whitlock. That's
right. And
rich.
right, exactly. And Warren Sapp would just sit there. He would engage in it. Now Warren Sapp's on staff. So like, who are we going to get offended by? Who are we going to close out? Who are we going to draw near? You know, that if you're trying to keep track of what Deion Sanders is doing, it can get a little bit of exhausting. But you got kids, I got kids. We both got a bunch of kids. I think we have like 50 kids combined. Do you ever like one kid's making a bunch of noise in the back seat and you're just like, that's it, and you yell at everybody to send a
Yes.
message?
Yep.
Me too. So I didn't I didn't fail to understand what Deion Sanders was trying to accomplish, but these aren't
Yeah.
kids, he's a grown man.
Yeah.
And I don't think it serves him in the long run, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. All I know is if he went off on me because of what somebody else did, I don't I'm I'm not built like I would have been like, what are you talking? Like I would have yelled in the press
Yes. Oh
conference.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'd
I
have
don't
been like, all
have
right,
that kind of
I got time today, Dion. I got time today. So, and
yeah. And I'm like, well,
this is where you
maybe the
can
reason they think
still,
you're bad is because
and
just
this is
go
the
ahead. I
part.
was gonna say like
This is the
where
part that I want people
Dion
to.
has us talking over each other. This is quite possibly the worst 30-second run in podcast history, and I blame you, Deion Sanders.
And this is the part that I want Dion to understand, and that I would, when I get a chance to interview him, talk about. And people who are watching Colorado and everything else is that because anytime I've said anything that is a critique of Colorado, oh, you hate Dion. Why aren't you rooting for the black man? This. And I'm like, I can say, like this example that I like to use. I love my wife, love my family, love my kids. I don't always agree with them. So that's okay. I cannot agree with them and still support them. I cannot agree with them and still have their back. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. So I can want Dion to be successful and his mission to be successful, but also say, "Hey, yo, buddy, that way of going about it ain't it." And that's actually what he says that he does with his players. I'm gonna love on him. I'm gonna love on him. I'm gonna coach him up. I'm gonna tell him the hard thing. So you got to hear the hard thing too, Dion.
And how is George Wrighster supposed to square not putting full effort into high school recruiting when he came in and said, watch us offer kids before they get ranked by 247 and rivals because we're going to have our own internal evaluation process?
Yes.
Can you name a single kid whose first offer came from Colorado before they were ranked by Rivals or 247?
No.
Neither can I. And I pay
Yep.
attention to this stuff. So I think you're allowed to take him seriously. And if he doesn't match his own words, ask what's going on. I think that's
It,
fully allowed.
well,
But I think he's also allowed to get mad when just the ranking stuff. What and also I don't think that's correct. Second worst coach in the Big 12
yeah.
isn't a
Yeah,
big part of being
that's
a
wild.
coach, fundraising and recruiting. Who's doing a better job than him? Nobody.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody. All right. Speaking of nobody having it better than us, it is college football season now. We are less than 2 weeks away from the season. And with us being 2 weeks away from the college football season, we have to get prepared for the college football season, Ralph. Get prepared for it
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally, budget our time. And I'm just trying to figure out what everybody else in the world is doing right now because I am mentally gearing up for what is coming. I am excited. I could not be any more, happy. There's an elation, there's a feel good building up. Everybody knows because I am prompting everybody, do not ask me to do anything on Saturdays. Aside from now, I've got a complicated situation this fall because I have a son in college football. I would like to show up to, a couple of his games. I have a son playing college, I'm sorry, playing 14U who just turned 13. And so they play on Saturdays. I have my daughter's playing volleyball but they don't play on the weekends, which is thank the Lord. They only play during the week, except for like a tournament later on. And then we have what else do we have? Oh, and then the little kid Roman, he's in jujitsu and all of that stuff, but that's not on the weekends. We X the weekends out for him. So aside from being at my son's games and watching college football, don't ask me to do anything. I am 100% unavailable for your dinner, for your wedding, for your like maybe for your funeral.
Funeral.
Like,
I was waiting for it. I would try really hard not to die in the next couple of months.
please don't. Ralph, I will come to your funeral though, but
Appreciate
please don't die. Actually, don't die anytime soon, regardless. But
it.
during football season, don't schedule anything. Do not schedule anything. And according to the knot, October 12th is the busiest day for fall weddings. And the knot's a website that, a wedding website. Right. October 12th. And I'm like, I do not understand who raised these people. We got Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, LSU, Penn State, USC. I'll repeat that. Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, LSU, and Penn State, USC. And people are scheduling weddings on those days, Ralph. Who raised these people?
I did see a guy got quote tweeted into oblivion until he deleted it. I think he even played at Indiana, saying that like you got to grow up. You're 26, have a fall wedding. And I just want to say to people who have fall weddings, most of the people I know are either college football fans, college football players, college football media, or college football employees of some kind, like coaches. So it would be tough for them anyway. But do you understand that when you get married on a day, your anniversary is going to be on that day for the rest of
Yeah,
time? It's not just that you have a fall wedding, it's then that you're expected to like, hey, this weekend's just ours for
yeah.
and so that's a tough one. That's a tough one. If you can avoid it, avoid it. Um I'm with you. I got two kids playing high school football. I got one playing softball. I got one taking baseball lessons. I cover high school. So here's what my Friday looks like. I go to a game at 7. I come home, I cover high school football on the West Coast from the East Coast. Those games start at 10. So then I have a wrap up show at 1 in the morning Eastern. I get up on Saturday, I have college football all day long into about 2 in the morning. And then on Sundays, we're planning and doing content together and in same stuff all week long. And so I also am not going to be available to do anything, but it gets real tough when you have an 8-year-old daughter who is like, watch Bluey with me. I what am I supposed to do?
FTK.
I don't know. I might have to like
F them kids.
make a I might have to make like I might have to have like the Bluey on the phone with the college football. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be
Yeah.
tough, but
Yeah.
that's part of the gig, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But it is. I mean, even when I text you and you're out, and I'm like, "Did you see this play?" and you're at something, you almost always get mad. You're like, "Why are good things happening when I can't be in front of the television?"
And the reason why, and people are gonna say, well, you can watch it on your phone. I can only have two things on while I am not home because I have my phone and I take my iPad. Anybody that knows if I have to go somewhere in the fall, even to my own kids' game, I am watching. I have my phone and my iPad at my kids' game. And then because when I'm at home, I can watch 6 different games. I can have them on at one time. 4 on one TV, one on another TV, and then I got a iPad there as well. Oh, and then my computer. So actually, I can get seven. Get seven at a time if I need to. So I don't have to miss it. I don't get commercials. I don't pay attention. I am tuning into another channel if a commercial comes on. So if there's something that happens, this is why I no longer my wife gets upset because we have UCLA season tickets. She loves to go to the game. We used to go to the games all the time. I don't want to go to the games no more. Because the whole time I'm there, I'm on two screens, and she's like, "George, what is the point in you coming?" I'm like, "You're right. You're right."
Yeah, especially I mean you got them good parking passes, but you get in that traffic and you just know you're missing college football. You could be in your office,
Oh,
you could
and
be on
then
your
she has
couch.
to drive there and back. That's the only way I'm going
Yeah,
because
I'm
then
fly
I get to sit like, la, la, la.
I'm flying out to a couple of games this year, maybe checking out a few, but I do hate being at a game when I know that I'm missing something else. But if I have the opportunity to, what I think, the Duke's kickoff is in Charlotte. I could technically go to see Georgia Tech kick the season off here in a couple of days down in Atlanta. I'm flying in for Wyoming, Arizona State. And so I'm going to try to hit some games because I love the in-person pageantry, but I hate the feeling of missing out. So it's gonna have to be a late night game to where my whole day's not eaten up. Um, but yeah, it's tough, man. I know that there's people out there like fighting fires for a living and working in triage and hospitals that are listening to this. Like, oh, I'm sorry, your life is so hard.
I'm sorry your life is so hard that you can't figure out how to get down to Baton Rouge for the LSU UCLA game and make it back for your kids' games too. Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry, rough life. um, all right, so that's how we're getting prepared for the college football season. But there's a lot of awards and things that we got to get prepared for because the college football playoff. This is the first year of an expanded 12-team playoff. I've been pushing for this for so long, and all you losers who wanted to stay at 4, oh, this is rubbing in your face. Ugh. But I will say, I hate 12. At the same time, I didn't get what I wanted either. I only wanted 8 or 16 because I don't like buys. But that's a whole nother
Mhm.
conversation because football's football. People get hurt. Buys in baseball playoffs impact. Like the higher seeds typically don't play as well because they're off. There's a lot that goes into it. But whatever, we got expansion. But the question is will that expansion cause more teams to be able to win? And the answer is actually yes. Even though that people will tell you the answer is no, the answer is actually yes. And the reason why is because of the college football blue chip ranking. And the blue chip ranking, which CBS Sports puts out every year, is the amount of 4 and 5 star prospects on your roster. And there's never been a team to win that didn't have at least 50% of their roster with 4 and 5 star prospects. And so the history of the national championship, Michigan won it last year with 54%, Georgia 77 in 2022, Georgia 80% in 21,
God dang.
Alabama 83 in 20, LSU 64 and 19, Clemson with 68 and 18, Bama 80% in 17, Clemson 52% in 16, which was wild with the Deshaun Watson class. Um, Alabama with 77 and 15, Ohio State 68-14, Florida State 53 and 13, Alabama 71 in 2012, and then Bama with 71 in 2011.
So are you saying stars matter?
Yes, stars matter. No matter what people lie and
Right.
tell you, stars matter on the macro. So on a team basis, but on the micro, on an individual player basis, they don't matter. But because if you get enough 4 and 5 stars together, yes, some of them are not going to pan out, but the ones that do, them ones is different. Um, so this year, the teams that have better than a 50% blue chip ratio, Ohio State at 90%, which is insane.
Right.
Alabama at 80%. And bro, this is insane. Like the teams never even won with a like the highest was 83, and we're at Ohio State at 90%, but Alabama 88%, Georgia at 80, Texas A&M at 79%, Oregon at 76, Oklahoma at 73, Texas at 72, LSU at 70, Notre Dame at 67, Clemson at 64, Florida at 63, Miami at 61, Penn State at 61, USC at 59, Michigan at 56, and Auburn at 53. So the history says that all of these teams, including Auburn at 53%, technically all have a chance to win the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, we don't think that all these teams are going to even be in a position to win a national championship. And that's why expansion of the tournament, because if you get like 8 of these teams in the tournament, technically any of those teams can win historically.
Right.
So I do think that there are going to be, like, there aren't going to be upsets like VCU over, Purdue in basketball.
No, but if we had this last year and we ended up with Oregon and Georgia in the national championship when they weren't even included, would you have been surprised? I wouldn't have.
No, because they were all teams that you thought could possibly win. So I do think that you're going to get more upsets, if you will, from like a 8 beating a 2 or something like that. But you're not. But
Yeah.
those teams are going to have the blue chip ratio that supports it.
Right. Right. I agree. So that brings us to who are you picking to be in the college football playoff in 2024?
I am picking the Oregon Ducks
Okay.
versus the Georgia Bulldogs
For the Natty, that's your two.
for the Natty,
Okay. Okay.
with the Oregon Ducks hoisting the trophy in a revenge game because they got the kicked out of them the last time Oregon played Georgia, which was Dan Lanning's first year.
Man, so I also have Oregon there. I have Oregon there, and um, I'm going way out on a limb with this one. This is Clemson's last stand. I know it's a weird pick, but I have Oregon over
So
Clemson.
you believe in Cade Klubnik?
I believe that an ACC schedule is going to have them pretty fresh when you won't. I don't think I'll say those words out loud. We'll see. We'll see. But I do have Oregon winning the national championship. You and I are both on Oregon, which is
Oh
weird.
God,
I mean, it's not weird
Ralph,
that you're on
it's
Oregon. I think everybody knows that.
Ralph. Ralph, I literally almost did not say them because now I don't care about people calling me a homer or any of that stuff because I said Washington was better last year. Like I have, I hate Washington, but I'm going to be objective about the things that I see. But I feel like I'm gonna be a mush. Like I don't want to say it because I don't want to be a mush.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't want to jinx what feels like this is one of them years that I'm like, George, relax, 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 relax. Like just eat, just don't talk about it. It's almost like when a pitcher gets a no hitter or a perfect
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
and I know that we're in the fifth inning right now, and you're like, how's the fifth
No,
inning
no,
have
no,
the
no,
seat?
no, no. Why it's weird is we're 2 weeks away from that start. So you're like, it's not even the fifth inning. You're talking
Well,
about jinxing a
no, no,
no
no,
hitter
no. I'm
before the
saying the fifth
pitcher
inning.
takes the mound.
No, I'm saying it's the reason why I said it's the fifth inning is because the first few innings are the recruiting, the coaching, the like you got to get all the tools in place to be able
Hmm.
to even get there. So I'm saying that was the first four innings. And the season is like fifth through eighth. And then the ninth inning is the playoff. So I like I'm looking at when I'm looking at these schedules, Ralph, I am trying to find a situation to where Oregon is like I don't want to talk about it, but I'm like, how do they not? If we're looking at this schedule, Ralph, how is this not a team that makes the playoff? And because in the Big Ten, 10 wins is going to get you in the playoff.
How many Big Ten teams do you have in? Period.
I had four, and then I whittled it down to three. But I do think that there is a chance that a fourth gets in.
I
And
have
it's
four.
probably the most likely scenario that we get four from the SEC, four from the Big Ten, the at large, and ACC, um, and a Big 12 and two ACC teams.
I have four in, and I have my last two out are an ACC and a Big 12. I think they might only get one in each, but I do think if the Big 10 gets three or four teams, the idea that Oregon wouldn't be one of those, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. So you just got to get into the tournament. I mean, that's the thing is you got to get to the tournament to be able to win.
Yeah.
And with that, I think it's going to be hard for them not to be able to win. Well, not to get in the tournament at least, and then from there, listen, man, it's going to be a gauntlet to get through it.
So let me give you my 12, and you tell me if you have them in or don't have them in.
Okay,
Okay. Clemson.
okay. Clemson do not have them in.
Okay. Oregon, you said yes. Ohio
Yes.
State.
Yep.
Penn State.
Yes.
Georgia, obviously, you said
Yep.
they're going to the Natty. Ole Miss.
Yes.
Mizzou.
No.
Okay, so that's one that's different. Utah.
Yes. Automatic
Liberty.
Big 12 qualifier.
Okay. Liberty.
Yes. Even though I've
Okay.
been rethinking that, but I came back to it because I think that Liberty and we can cover this real quick is so obviously there's of the 12 teams there is the four conference champions that get in. So from the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and ACC, all four of those are going to get in and be the top four seeds. NFL style where they're going to get the bye, and then you have 8 team and then you have the highest power non-power 5 school that gets in, and then the rest are at large bids. and I thought about going with Boise State, but Boise State plays Oregon this year. And if they get their absolute doors blown off, and then you have another school like Liberty or somebody who's in the mix, I think that they're going to get voted over because they're not going to want to put them in the playoff again if they just got just absolutely
Mhm.
destroyed by Oregon.
I actually took a surprise school out to put them in because I realized when I made this list that I had forgotten them. Notre Dame.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, so Notre Dame is in my top 12.
Iowa. I know you have them close. Do you actually have them in?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
They're not going to be able to muster enough offense to get enough wins.
All right. I know the answer to this because you said you only had three Big Ten teams, or actually they're an SEC team, so never mind. Oklahoma. Do you have Oklahoma in?
No.
Okay, I do, and then Alabama. That's my 12.
Yep, I do. Okay, so read them in order for me.
Okay. I don't know the order they'll actually be ranked, but this is what I have: Clemson, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mizzou, Utah, Liberty, Notre Dame, Iowa, Oklahoma, Alabama.
Okay, I ranked my 12 in order.
Okay.
Georgia 1,
Okay.
Oregon 2, Florida State 3, and Utah 4. That those are going to be your four buys.
Okay.
And then I got Texas, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Penn State, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, and Liberty.
Okay, so your three different than me is you got some ACC respect in there. You have Florida State, you have Miami, and then Texas. I do not have in
Yeah,
there.
and I switched out Miami with Michigan because when I did this a few months ago, I had Michigan in. But with all the turmoil that's going on, I think that they're going to have a little bit of a problem over there. And obviously, Alex Orji at quarterback is young, and you know that they've lost a lot. I think it's going to be hard for them. But but when we were doing this list, I started thinking about the conferences in general, right? And we
Hmm.
have the teams that we believe that are going to win the conferences as well. And I believe that we are going to like if we look at the Big 12, Ralph, we both believe that Utah is going to win the Big 12. But the competitors for the Big 12, I think, are that that the only teams that legitimately have a shot to win the Big 12, obviously health withstanding for these top teams. I think Utah is far and away the leader in the clubhouse. And then we got Oklahoma State and Arizona
Hmm.
have an outside shot.
And possibly K State if they can
Yeah.
get some replacement production at quarterback.
Yeah. But I do like the Avery Johnson kid. I think he's going to have a legitimate shot. And then in the ACC, I have Florida State winning, and you clearly have Clemson winning.
Hmm.
But but I think that Miami, because of their schedule and how friendly their schedule is, that they're going to have a legitimate shot to win as well.
So who are your four conference champions of the Big Four?
Oh, it is Utah, Florida State, Oregon, and Georgia.
And so, yeah, our only difference there is I have Clemson. So that brings us to another big prediction heading into this season. Who do you think is going to be on the Heisman stage at the end of this year?
Now, I want to give a caveat here. I love the history of the Heisman Trophy, the pageantry. So I don't want to sound like I'm poo pooing on the Heisman Trophy because I aspire to be a Heisman voter. I love the history of the award. I do believe that that we're missing the mark on the award a little bit. And this is where I would do something different as a voter, which is it is not the best player or it's not the quarterback on one of the best teams in the country. I'm going to be trying to take a holistic view of not who can win the Heisman, but voting for the people who have put up the best seasons and have been the most important to their team. Like you have to have the the greatness of the season mixed with everything else. So, but the question is, who's going to be on that stage? So
Mm-hmm.
that's my caveat. I have my finalists. I went with 4 finalists: Dylan Gabriel
Okay.
from quarterback at Oregon, Will Howard, quarterback at Ohio State. Because if he's not on that stage, Ryan Day's getting fired. I mean, that's
Okay.
just the truth.
Yeah.
Like that means that Ohio State did not. That means they lost at least 2 games if he's not on that stage. Because and then the reason why they would have lost is because he didn't play well. So Jalen Milrow, because
Mm-hmm.
he's with Kalen DeBoer, and after what happened with Michael Penix Jr. and what Jalen Milrow has shown us already, adding in some Kalen DeBoer to it, I am fully excited about that kid. And then my last one, surprise, surprise, because if this kid and this is my dark horse spot, because there's always somebody who, that you didn't expect to be in there, and he can get on this stage, even with Jalen Milrow there too, because his team can beat them, and that is Nico Iamaleava, quarterback from Tennessee.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so I was in a gas station in by Neyland Stadium, which is now Pilot Neyland Stadium or whatever.
Yeah,
So with that, they got that gasoline money. And they were selling magazines by the register. This is a couple weeks ago, and it said Nico Iamaleava Heisman candidate, and I was like, "Damn, this is the most homer magazine I've ever seen in my life." But now here we are on College Football Apostles, and you're throwing some weight behind him. I think that's a fun pick.
yeah.
I really do.
Dude,
Super
I've
dark
seen the
horse.
kid working out for a very long time, known him and his family. So, but that's not why he's on the list. I think that him being at Tennessee, Tennessee's roster potential, the fact that they have an opportunity to beat Alabama, beat some other big time schools that are going to be notable. He plays well in those games. He's going to have a chance to be on that stage.
Mm-hmm. Well, we share two of them, and I think that they're going to be ultimately the two finalists. I think it's going to come down to Dylan Gabriel or Jalen Milrow. So I'm with you on that. I have Brady Cook on here because if they
Well,
get to the college football
he's who
playoff,
Nico could like. It's the same situation.
yeah, yeah, I'm with you 100%. If he repeats what he did last year and they find a way to get into the college football playoff, I think there'll be some consideration there. You could probably throw Jackson Dart in there too, but I like Brady Cook a little bit more. Here's my dark horse. And I actually have them just outside, and you might think I'm crazy. I just have them right outside the college football playoff. Kyron Drones, quarterback, Virginia Tech.
Dude, if Virginia Tech can find a way to get in the ACC championship, he will legit. It will be because he was
It'll be
not
because
good
of
but
him.
spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I look, and this is silly, I know 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 800 yards rushing. Do you know who did that a year before they blew up?
I do.
Yeah, it's Jaden Daniels. So
Yep.
I'm not trying to say that the same. First of all, Kyron Drones looks like he ate Jaden Daniels, but like,
he looks. I ate my. I love my grandmother, but I ate her. But it took a week because she was fat. Do you know what that's from?
I do not.
Moana.
Oh,
It's the big crab.
oh my gosh. Yeah, so I that's my dark horse is Kyron Drones, but I do think it's going to come down to Dylan Gabriel or Jalen Milrow because Dylan Gabriel's chasing the all-time record for most touchdown passes in a career, and Jalen Milrow has your boy Kalen DeBoer. So, um, and I think like in the regular season, Dylan Gabriel's going to break that record. He's
Yeah.
like eighth right now,
Yeah.
and so that'll be interesting. Last one, who do you think's going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft?
Ooh. This one is tricky because number one in the NFL draft means that you had a great season and there's some positional value to it as well. Um, I am going to go with Travis Hunter.
Me too. I hate to be controversial, and I know it's like a quarterback league, but the Panthers probably going to have that number one pick, and I think they'll see enough of a leap at quarterback to not. Now, if the Panthers trade out of that pick, it is what it is.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah,
think Travis Hunter for a team like that, or like a Patriots or one of these teams that already got their quarterback in the last couple of years,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that
Because if the
Travis Hunter
Dallas
could.
Cowboys end up with the first overall pick, they're picking Shador. I'm letting you know that right now.
Oh my gosh, that would be that. ESPN would. Uh, there'd be people that at that network that would be changing their pants if if Shador Sanders went to the Dallas Cowboys. Um, we got one final segment this week, and our listeners and viewers, they can play along with this. We last year we came up with a season long contest, and we're going to be picking games like we always do. But this year we came up with a game called Overrated, Underrated.
Okay.
And so the rules of this game are very simple. It's going to sound complicated, but it's very simple. You and I are going to draft 6 teams.
Yes.
3 of them have to be teams we believe are overrated, which means they were picked in the top 5 of their Power 4 conference by the media. And for every game that they lose, we get 3 points. And for every game that they finish a full game under their season win total, we get 5 points. And then we'll also draft 3 underrated teams. For every win,
Yes.
we'll get 3 points. And for every game they finish above the Vegas line for their season total, we'll get 5. It'll be a season long contest. We'll update people as we go. But the whole point of this is to draft. First, we'll go the overrated team.
Yes. Yes. I am going to go with. I actually. I'll let you go first, Ralph. All right. Well, I'll go first then. All right. My first. All right. So who you got first, Ralph? You get first pick.
Okay, so my overrated team. Gosh, man, this is tough. I don't want to be, I don't want to come off as a hater. Um, but my number one overrated team in the country, I'm going to go LSU.
Damn. Ah, you stole one of my picks.
So they were predicted to finish what, 5th in the SEC.
Yes.
I believe their season win total is somewhere around 9. I'm looking for my paper where I wrote all this stuff down, but I actually have it right here. So the predicted, according to betonline.ag, the predicted win total for LSU this year, and again, they were picked 5th in the SEC, is 9 wins. So every full game they finish under that, I'm going to get 5 points. And for every loss this year, I'm going to get 3 points.
All right. My team that I am going with overrated team. A team that you have in the college football playoff, Clemson.
Wow. Okay. And I believe what they were picked maybe 2nd.
Yep.
Okay, and their overall win total this year is also at 9, which is interesting for a team that was picked 2nd. That gives me to the 2nd pick. I'm going to keep it in the ACC actually, and I'm going to rock with Florida State. So
Ooh.
I believe they were predicted to win the ACC. I do not believe that will happen this year. And they're set at 9.5 wins. So again, 3 points for every loss this year, 5 points for every full loss behind their predicted season total, which is at 9.5 right now.
And what are the win totals for Kansas State and Oklahoma State?
Okay, so let's go over to the Big 12. Currently, and that's when we lock it in, is when they get drafted. Kansas State is sitting at 9.5, and Oklahoma State is sitting at 8.5 for their predicted season total.
Give me Kansas State.
Okay, that's an interesting 2nd pick. That's a really interesting second pick, but that's also a really, really high win total.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and it's not because I don't think that Kansas. I just think that they're going to win less than 10 games.
okay.
So I feel safe in, like they can still have a good season at 8-4, and then play their bowl game and everything be okay.
Of course. Man, so this is tough. All right. So let's see. My final pick. Um, huh. You went Big 12 and ACC. I went SEC and ACC. So let's. Oh, this is tough, man. Um, was Michigan picked to finish in the top 5 of the Big Ten? Is the question.
Yes, they were pick number 4.
Okay, so Michigan will be my third pick, and I'll finish
You
with
took
LSU.
2 of my teams. I should have drafted Michigan already. Damn it. All right, cool. I'm going for my last pick with another Big Ten team. I'll take Iowa then.
Okay. So then the
Iowa's
predicted
defense,
totals.
like the way that they used to win, is not going to hold up in this new Big Ten.
So Iowa is sitting at 8, and Michigan is sitting at 8.5. So that'll be interesting. Let's move on to our underrated teams.
All right, our underrated teams. Okay, so I will draft first here.
Okay.
So you took two of my teams, and you should not have let me in on this Texas Tech secret, baby.
Oh my
Let's go,
God!
Red Raiders. Let's
No!
go, Red Raiders.
No, this is going to do some serious damage to the narrative that you are a Red Raider hater because you're calling them one of the more underrated teams. Now, they were picked 9th, which I think is pretty crazy. They were picked 9th in the Big 12. Now, the win total is going to be a little tough. I think it's at maybe 7.5. Let me confirm that. So the win total is not great, but they could. I mean, no, it's 7.5. 7.5. That's actually pretty good for a team that might win 9, 10 games.
Okay, so here's their schedule. So we went over it earlier. Abilene Christian, Washington State, North Texas, Arizona State, and Cincinnati. They can start out 5-0.
Man.
And then
Okay.
they can get Baylor. They're not going to beat Arizona probably. They can get Baylor. They could get TCU, Iowa, Colorado. Bro, they could be staring at 9 wins down in the face, buddy.
Okay, so you had your homer moment, and I joined you in picking Oregon to win the national championship. Now comes my homer moment. Picked to finish last in the Big 12 with a win total of 4.5. I'm going with the Sun Devils. Arizona State is my first pick for my underrated draft. Their win total is at 4.5. They might enter conference play 3-0. It's a real possibility. So I'm going with Arizona State
Hey,
number
Ralph,
one.
I was going to take Arizona State second, just so you know.
Great minds think alike, my friend. Great minds think alike. Who is your second pick in our overrated underrated contest?
Is Oklahoma.
Is Oklahoma a bottom half team?
I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, damn, they're at number 8. Never.
Yeah, they got to be 9 or below, which means that the SEC list starts with Texas A&M.
Okay, so in that case, give me Florida.
Okay, 5.5 wins is the current
Yes.
prediction. You believe that 7 wins is possible and that 8 wins is almost impossible.
Yes.
So this is an interesting pick for you based on a full off season of not smack talk but analysis.
Yeah.
I think that was a very very interesting pick. Uh, so man,
If you
I'm
pick
gonna
my
go.
last pick, I'm screwed because the Oklahoma I had 4 teams. Well, sorry, 5 teams there, and you took one of them in Oklahoma wasn't available because I can't count, and you took Arizona State. So
So
if you choose my last one, I'm screwed.
I don't think this one's even on your radar. There's a deep cut for me. My second pick for most underrated is going to be University of Pittsburgh because their
Oh
win
yeah.
total is sitting at 5.5. I think they had an uncharacteristically bad season last year. I don't know if they're going to be shored up at quarterback, but that guy they have coming in from Alabama, Eli Holstein, my guy Chili swears that he's going to take over college football. So in the event that
Yes,
that
he
that
loves some.
he
He
does,
loves some Eli Holstein.
he does. So I'm gonna ride with Chili on this one. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh for my number 2 at 5.5 wins.
Okay. And for my last pick, I'm taking UCLA, the UCLA Bruins.
Really? Yeah, they were predicted to finish what, third to last in the Big Ten. They're at 5.5 is their win total.
Yep.
Okay, man, you really did take my number 1 pick, and I'm scrambling a little bit. Um, I as a former Pac-12 apostle, I think I have to go with Troy Taylor and Stanford because they're sitting at a three
Ooh.
and a 3.5.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one because you could get up to 6 in that one. That would give you some good some good points right there.
Yeah, and so, but I also they could get wrecked. So, high risk, high reward. My final pick, Stanford Cardinal, and their win totals at 3.5. So I got 2 teams out of the ACC, 1 out of the Big 12. This is gonna be a fun contest.
Yep. Yeah. I'm absolutely excited about it. And you guys, we are excited about the Pac college football
You almost
apostles.
did it again.
Damn. Pac 12's in your blood. The college football apostles. You guys make sure that you guys like, subscribe, share, tell a friend because we'll be here every single week. Peace out.